Hello, everyone. We've made it to our first week, so that is definitely amazing. I'm feeling really good this evening. I'm feeling pretty good, I'm pretty upbeat. um, but I am glad to be here on day 7. We are going to be talking about Can I Get a Me Too? And this is actually the last piece that I wrote for the book. So I think this was the final thing that I wrote. Hello, Danny. Hello, Jeff. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you so much for joining me this evening on day 7 as we discuss Can I Get a Me Too? So I do have a little bit of news. I told everybody that I am seeing a therapist, which is a really good thing. Um, and I told everybody, hello, Mr. Gilbert. I told everyone that I was going to be sharing my most recent diagnosis. So I've always felt like, and I think I've been diagnosed as being bipolar before, and I always felt like I'm like bipolar, but I sit like really low. So my regular state, where some people are bipolar, my regular state, their regular state is here. My regular state is low. And so when I'm up, I'm like regular, you know what I mean? But that's what I always kind of, thought I was, bipolar. And I think I've been diagnosed with that. I said that. However, my most recent therapist, she diagnosed me with borderline personality disorder. So I would really have to read it for you in order to share exactly what borderline personality disorder is. I definitely think I fit a lot of the symptoms of being borderline personality. And it actually does have a lot to do with relationships and, how you carry on relationships and emotions and different things like that. But I have to read it for you because I don't want to, start making stuff up and not be accurate or give you incorrect information. But in regards to myself and emotions, I really do have a hard time with my emotions. So instead of, feeling a lot of things and, going through a lot of things and exuding like great passion or sadness or anger or anything like that, I tend to turn things off completely because I don't really like exhibiting those type of behaviors. And I don't like the way, I feel. Of course, you don't like when you're sad. You don't like when you're angry. You don't like, you don't like the feeling of those things. But I don't like the exhibit of those emotions either. So I don't want to feel it and I don't want to exhibit it, from myself or, or actually experience it from anyone else either. So, it's hard for me to kind of know how to respond when, like, if someone's really sad or crying. I feel really awkward and out of place. Like if someone's angry, I'm like, huh? Like I'm kind of confused. I'm like, you putting 500 on 4. I'm not sure why, we're going through this. So I'm at the point where I just kind of pull back from feeling different emotions. And so that also, affects me having relationships with people. Because I guess, when you have relationships with people, you gotta like work really hard, because it's like a lot going on, and it's just difficult for me to recognize the value in putting in that much effort to be someone's friend or to be in a relationship with someone. I don't see a lot of, relationship. I don't see any relationships from the inside that I kind of know a little bit about that I I'm like, oh, that what they got is great. Of course I see it on social media and I see it with people that I don't know. But as far as like the people that I know, I'm like, y'all go ahead. But and the reason again that I'm like that, hi Walt, hi Glenn, hi Steven. The one of the reasons why I'm like that is because I'm so sensitive. So it's not that I don't feel or don't have emotions. Like I don't like going to movies because I don't like my emotions being manipulated. I don't like people making me cry. I don't like people making me I was gonna say I like people making me laugh. I don't like people making me afraid or making me angry, going to movies that make me angry. The day before yesterday, I just was like on a whole rant. And I really just don't like doing that. So I don't like to talk about certain things and watch certain things and do certain things because I know they're going to evoke certain emotions in me. And I am extremely sensitive. And in order not to be like a walking ball of emotions, I don't deal with it at all. Like I just cut things out, I just deuce up, deuce down. Like it's not even that deep. So I do, of course, my family, I love my family. Like there would be nothing that I wouldn't do or go through with, my children, with my mom, with my sisters, with my sister, with my sisters. I actually have another sister who has been ill for a while. So she, doesn't communicate or anything like that. My brother, my nieces, my nephews, my grandbaby, like the people in my life, like there's nothing I wouldn't do for them. And of course, I'll go through a lot of emotions with them. I get angry at them, sometimes I'm afraid for them, sometimes I'm sad, and I know that's what I got to do. I know I just got to deal with that stuff. But, people outside of them being related to me, I'm like, huh? And even now I have a granddaughter and like her mom, even though her mom is and my son aren't together, but I feel the same way about her. Like there's nothing that she could really do to make me dislike her or be like we not cool, or I should say not love her. There's nothing she could do to make me not love her. Let's put it like that, because I get angry at my family sometimes. We don't talk, they make me mad, I make them mad or whatever, but there's nothing that they could do to like break that up. I just know that's my family. It's just matter of fact, and those are the people I'm with, and those are the people that I rock with. So with that being said, I did break up with my therapist today. I was just like, man, listen, I don't even really know you that well. And just the way, your whole approach, your whole demeanor, it's just a little bit much. I'm gonna need you to be a little more at work. This is a professional situation, a professional environment. And, I just have some expectations. You cool and all and everything like that. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to see this person is because, I felt like, oh, they were real cool and, we could, kind of vibe and everything like that. But we ain't that cool. Like, excuse me. So I'm not even going to go into anything that was said or anything like that, just out of, respect for the whole situation. But I did, man, no, that's not going to work. Just not going to work. So, but I am going to get another therapist. So I am excited about that. And I'm definitely going to get one right away. I think it is of benefit. I think for the time that I did see that person, it was of benefit. I think, the diagnosis that I was given was, possibly, pretty accurate and everything like that. And I do have some things that I'm definitely going to work on. And relationships are something that I think about. Like if I'm ever at an event and people are like, well, what are you working on? What are you trying to do? I'm always saying I'm trying to work on relationships. I'm trying to work on relationships. And the thing about it is I'm not naturally a nice person. Not just, like I'm not like on my inner core. Like I'm just really not that nice. So when it comes to being around people, and I recognize that I have mental health issues, I recognize that. I'm like, me, I got it over here, y'all. So when I interact with people, especially professional, I'm working hard at being professional. I'm working hard at being nice. I'm working hard at being gracious, at being humble, at making sure everybody is comfortable. I'm working hard at being respectful. I'm working hard at being professional. So when I go out in the world for however long that window is where I'm able to maintain that, if I can't receive, that same thing, if you can't reciprocate, if for some reason you have a mental health issue that you don't know that you have, or you feel like you can just walk all willy-nilly with it, take it outside with you, okay, that's fine. But I don't have to deal with you. I don't, have to interact with you. I don't have to talk with you. If you feel like because, I am a nice person, you feel like you can talk to me any kind of way, you feel like you can treat me any kind of way, well, that's just an opportunity for me to be myself. It's not even like me getting angry or me pulling something out. It's just like, oh, okay, so I can be the real me now. Like what? Like I don't even get it. Like what part did you think that I really even it wasn't that deep. It was never that deep. And even when I feel like something is that deep, I would rather cut it off than to be going through some roller coaster emotions with folk. Like, I really feel like people do stuff, I don't know, I shouldn't say just to try me, but I'm like, I try to be nice. I try to be open. I try to communicate. I try to say, what I'm feeling, what, is really on my mind. But man, you got like 1-2 times. And this is like with, relationships as well. Like, okay. Like, I don't even understand all that, I don't understand what a lot of people go through to be in relationships. Let's put it like that. I just don't even get it. I don't understand it. So until, I don't know, I get some breakthrough and I get some gene, the go through gene, the, take me through it gene. I'm sorry. I just can't even do it. All right. So hello, what's up, Z? Stephen, Brian, Jeff, and Carl. Thank you so much for joining me. So this is the last story that I actually wrote. We're just going to segue over here. This is the last story I actually wrote, and it is, hello, beautiful Ebony. It is, Can I Get a Me Too? And it's actually a poem. So I'm going to read, Can I Get a Me Too? Boys to men is the natural progression, but boys are often halted in the procession by transgressions not to be mentioned, or they too become suspect in the decision. Never made by judge or jury, no one hears the case, much less the story. Shh. There's a hush over the village, especially when women perpetrate the rape and the pillage. Babysitters, teachers, mom's best friends too commit crimes called acts of kindness against children called tutored youth. Can I get a Me Too? But the expectation is protection for girls from erections toyed with from adolescence, on boys too mentally and emotionally scarred to become men, and coached to refer to their trauma as good luck. Women so willing to share wisdom now embody the victim. The criminal mind is disturbed and confused, locked up, but his corrupted innocence wasn't recounted by law or opinion. Violations against boys are victimless crimes. Rape culture, good times. Maybe if we lock up the whole shrew slew, he could better empathize. Hashtag me too. All right. So that is me too. Hello, James. And the reason why I wrote this, I definitely wanted to write from the perspective of men and women, boys and girls, from the perspective of the ancestors and also young people as well. And I have heard so many times from, men that I've talked to that their first sexual relationships were with, their sisters, their older sisters, friends, with their parents, friends, with teachers, with babysitters, with older cousins. So many men experience being assaulted as children, and it's not talked about. There's not a lot of concern shown. Even it's joked about, like as if it's like a lucky thing, or it's really even difficult to wrap your mind around. And even when women are found out to be doing these type of things, the punishment is usually not as harsh as when it is a man, if there is any punishment at all. And I don't even know how women, feel about it. I know that they have to know it's wrong, because I haven't heard any women say, I mess with little boys, or, I mess with, no women are going around talking about that and telling that. Okay. It's just the men telling their stories from when they were young, and their first sexual experiences were oftentimes, and I don't know what the percentages are, but oftentimes were inappropriate. And so we have a couple of things going on. We have men who've been traumatized, and that trauma has never been acknowledged. They've never received any counseling or received any help, expected, to turn out into, well-rounded young men, and not have any, be sexually depraved, or have any sexual desire for younger boys or younger girls when they were assaulted as a child. But you also have a situation where men are still in power. Men are still in power. So even in the court systems, and as far as, police officers are concerned, not only are they committing these assaults, but even when these assaults are happening and they come before them, there's not always the same urgency. There's not always the same empathy. There's not always the same understanding, especially in the case of white males. We see them get off on rape all of the time. I mean, they rape babies, they rape children, they rape women, they get off. Now, Black men do the same thing. They don't get off the way white men do. I mean, you can just look at any situation now. They love holding Black men accountable. And again, we as Black people, we know we'll usually rah right behind it and say, yes, lock them up, throw away the key. But they ain't throwing away no keys on white boys. That's for damn sure. And I'm sure part of that is because they recognize that those same things happen to young boys by women. even if those women don't come to court, even if those women aren't arrested, it's hard to expect someone who has been assaulted, someone who has been used, abused by someone that they trusted, to then turn around and understand when you come screaming and hollering and saying, oh, look what happened to me. Now, of course, I do agree that men should be held accountable. I do agree that men should, go to prison, that they should go to court, that they should face the law. I agree that should happen with Black men and white men as well. I don't believe white men should get a pass, or, with white boys, oh, boys just are being boys. And even, we have a situation where we know that white girls and white women recognize this, because they'll just throw out there, oh, I'll say you raped me. Oh, I'll say you did something to me when it comes to a Black male. But they know that doesn't hold water when it comes to a white man. And again, a lot of that goes to that double standard. Now, I don't know why women aren't held accountable in the same way that men are. And I mean, I could make some guesses. I don't think I'm really, going to go there right now. But I don't think things are going to get better for us, because now we see, and I'm sure it's happening to boys too, but in a huge rate, it's happening to girls, where girls are just getting snatched off the street. They get snatched off the road, by people who look like them and people who don't. I mean, it's a major situation. And in the case of a lot of the sex trafficking that goes on, I know the police are aware. Because the thing about it is, when people started talking about this, probably like 5 or so years ago, and it was people who were like community activists and saying, oh my goodness, we have to do something. And, when I was first hearing about it, I was like, what? Like, what's going on? But they were feeling so passionate about this and working so hard towards this. But it wasn't anything you saw in the news. It wasn't anything you heard the police talking about. It wasn't any, thing that, the states or any legislation or anything happening. So because of that, you kind of get the idea, like, are they serious, or do they even know what's going on? Yeah, they know what's going on. And so did the police. And so did, everybody else. It's just that now it's this huge explosion because it is rampant. And it's a way to make money. And we live in a country, specifically a world, but a country specifically, that will do anything for $1. The United States is well known for, like, different people around the world are well known for different things. Well, men, mostly white men, are known for traveling around the world so that they can mess with little girls from the United States. That's what the United States is known for. So it's no issue. It's no problem, especially trafficking Black girls. And we don't protect our Black girls anyway. We demean our Black girls anyway. Like, that's not even, it's like, oh, well. But we have to hold women accountable as well. We just can't have an expectation where, and this is rampant as well, where women exhibit these same behaviors, do these same things, incest and pedophilia and sexual assault against children, but there's a blind eye. Everybody just looks the other way, like it's no big deal. And men feel like they can't even come out and say something. That's another part of what I was talking about. As a man, everybody looking at you like, what? Like, you complaining about that? And so what? Like nobody's even asking about it. If a woman comes out and says something happened to her when she was a child or 20 years ago, it's like, oh, let's look into it. Let's find out, what really went on. Let's talk about it. Let's hashtag me to it. Let's all get out and do a me too. But if a man comes out and says something that happened to him years ago, nobody's asking, oh, well, who was it? Or where's she at now? Or we better look into it. Or we better see, what happened. It's just like, oh, for real? And you move on. Oh, for real? But we have an expectation for boys to be able to mature through that. We have an expectation for these same men to be able to treat women with respect and honor and high regard, and not just use them as, as sex toys or tool. I don't know. What is it? Not just use them for sex, but everything, it needs to be addressed. And there has to be a lot of post-traumatic stress in regards to that, and to holding that in, and to not being able to talk about. And most of the men who have told me about it, they definitely have some regret. They have some regret that it happened to them. One person specifically told me that they feel like their their sexual appetite is beyond what it would be if they hadn't experienced that at such an early age. And because of that, it is harmful to their relationships. It's harmful, to them having a commitment and being faithful. And they feel like, it's a direct effect, because of that. And I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I don't think anybody, even at the time, even if you don't realize and recognize, at the time you're going through it, or through adolescence, or, when you're a young person, once you start getting older and you're able to reflect on your life and the things that have happened to you, most of us can realize and recognize, wow, that was a blow to my development. That was a blow to my emotional development, even. So, that is, can I get a me too? I hope in a lot of different areas there is more fairness for men. I'm definitely not. As a woman, I'm first and foremost. I'm always going to be on the front line for women. I know exactly what we go through. I go through it myself every day, and I empathize with us. And even when it comes to relationships and dealing with men and everything like that, 100%. But I think when you start to grow and you start to think and you start to mature and you start to develop, you definitely need to try to step back and take a look at other people's situations and other people's experiences. And when you do that and you realize and recognize, because like I said, it's hard for me to understand, a lot of emotion, or, even know what to say or how to respond. But literally so many men. One dude, he told me that he had a baby with his teacher. And I think it was in middle school. I don't even think it was in high school. I think it was in middle school. But he was just saying it was like the regular. At the time I think I was like, what? Like what? You know what I mean? But it was just like, so we know it's something that happens. We know it's rampant. It's something that definitely needs to be talked about. And I did want to share this poem from that, perspective, to let men know, that I definitely care, to let men know that, I do empathize with that situation. and to let young men know, especially boys who are, going through some of these situations. And oftentimes the people who perpetrate things against you, they're people you trust, they're people that you love, they're people that you care about. So there's this other thing of, well, if this is the person that I love, if this is the person that I care about, and the expression of showing that is a sexual one, well, I don't really know. You start to lose any way to express yourself other than that. So you meet someone and you're like, I like you, I care about you. And so your immediate thought, your immediate way to express that emotion is sexually, because you've been literally wired like that from a child. And I think a lot of us are like that. A lot of men are like that. A lot of women are like that. I mean, we see a big change up, in people coming up today, that the natural progression and growth that a person would have and develop into is severely stunted, because you're experiencing things and going through things that children aren't able to process. So you're not able to handle these things. You're not able to process these things. You don't know what it is these things mean. And it stunts your development when you do things. I first had sex when I was 11 years old, but that wasn't the first time, someone touched me or someone had messed around with me. It was much earlier than that. And, at 11, I had sex. I started, I was drinking, I was getting high. I mean, it's crazy because I remember doing acid. I was probably, I had to be in middle school, maybe. I feel like I was even younger, but I had to be in middle school and stuff. And I did it, I was by myself. I was just doing, I was just experimenting with drugs. And I'm just saying all of this stuff stunted my development. All of these things stunted my growth. I'm definitely predisposed to having mental illness, but you add on top of that, the early introduction to drugs and alcohol and sex and, just whatever. And, that's another, long period of time. And it probably has, something to do with, my ability now to process things or to process feelings and everything like that. And I know it definitely has, something to do with men and women, processing things and processing feelings. So just wanted to, share that poem. Again, it was the last poem that I wrote. I had wrote All That Glitters before that. And I definitely wanted the book to have some balance. And I was like, can I write a story? I don't even know. I was like, can I write a poem? And so that I'm so glad that that came to mind or came to spirit, because it's such an important thing to talk about. And that is, can I get a me too? And hello, Ansel, Winfield, Vernon, what's up, Yori, Monica, James? I'm so glad you were all able to join me. And I think I am out of here. I love you all. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I am working another therapist, y'all. And so if you feel like you need a therapist or you need someone to talk to, definitely do move forward. It's not like, you're not built, attached at the hip or anything. You can always, get a new one or, go for a little while. But I appreciate y'all. So bless up, black up, peace. Mwah.